Imagine spending 90 days and realizing that your financial life is no longer the same, not by chance, but because you decided to repeat one single habit every day. Napoleon Hill taught that great transformations are born from simple decisions sustained by discipline. In this video, you will discover the 90-day rule that can change your mind, your results, and your income. Stay until the end. Everything begins now with attention, decision, and real commitment. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and like this video. Let's help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers. That is our first goal. Our commitment here is to strengthen your mind with powerful knowledge. Most people do not fail because they lack intelligence or effort, but because they live without clear direction. They wake up tired, rush all day long, and by the end of it, feel that nothing has changed. They are always busy, but rarely productive. The problem is not a lack of opportunity, it is an excess of distraction. Social media, notifications, and artificial urgencies steal focus and push important decisions to later. Days pass, years accumulate, and the dream of prosperity is always postponed to next Monday. Napoleon Hill warned that indecision is the beginning of failure because those who do not choose a direction accept any destination. When there is no definite purpose, routine takes control, habits form by accident, and financial life becomes an automatic repetition. Recognizing this is the first step right now. To understand why this rule works, you need to understand who Napoleon Hill was. He did not become wealthy by selling empty promises. Hill spent more than 20 years studying, interviewing, and observing some of the most successful men in history, such as Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison. His goal was simple: to discover what these people did differently. The result of this study was a clear set of principles about wealth, purpose, and mindset, compiled in the book Think and Grow Rich. What makes his teachings timeless is precisely this: they do not depend on era, technology, or luck. They depend on how the human mind works. Hill realized that success always begins from the inside out, with clarity, decision, and conscious habit. When Hill analyzed these men, he noticed something they all had in common. None of them depended on motivation. They depended on habit. The so-called invisible 90-day rule works because the human mind changes through repetition, not initial enthusiasm. In the first days, everything seems easy. Then interest fades, excitement disappears, and that is where almost everyone quits. But those who persist long enough cross a silent barrier. In about 90 days, a repeated behavior stops requiring conscious effort and becomes part of your identity. You are not just doing something new, you are becoming someone new. That is why waiting to feel like it is a trap. Motivation is unstable, but habit is predictable. Hill taught that character is shaped daily and that lasting results emerge when you act even without feeling motivated. This rule does not promise ease, it promises transformation, as long as you respect the process and the time required for the mind to change. Among all the principles Napoleon Hill studied, one stood out as the starting point for any form of success: a definite purpose. Hill discovered that truly successful men knew exactly what they wanted, why they wanted it, and what they were willing to give in return. It was not a vague wish, it was a clear decision. They wrote it down and repeated it daily, out loud, with emotion. This simple habit gave direction to the mind. While most people wake up reacting to the day, those with a definite purpose start the day commanding their thoughts. Daily repetition creates focus, and focus guides decisions, actions, and priorities. Gradually, you stop wasting energy on what does not contribute and begin acting in alignment with what you want to build. Hill stated that the mind believes what you repeat with conviction. When you affirm your purpose every day, you are not just dreaming, you are training your brain to recognize opportunities, eliminate distractions, and align your actions with a clear goal. This is where change begins to take real shape.
Now that you understand the power of a definite purpose, the question is simple: how do you apply it correctly? Most people fail not because the habit does not work, but because they practice it superficially. Hill was very clear. First, you must write your purpose in detail. How much money you want, by when, what you will do with it, and the kind of person you must become to achieve it. Nothing vague, nothing generic. Then, this purpose must be read out loud twice a day, in the morning and at night. This is not mechanical reading. It is reading with emotion, as if it were already real. The most common mistake is skipping days, reading without feeling, or giving up when results do not appear quickly. This habit was not designed to create instant motivation, but to reprogram the mind over time. When done correctly, it begins to influence small decisions, daily choices, and even how you react to problems. Little by little, you start acting more in alignment with your goal, almost without noticing. That is why Hill insisted on daily discipline, not because it is easy, but because this silent consistency is exactly what separates those who merely try from those who truly change. This is exactly the point where most people begin to struggle against themselves. After the initial enthusiasm, a silent resistance appears. The mind starts questioning the habit, mocking the process, whispering seemingly rational excuses. This isn't working. You can skip today. This is a waste of time. Napoleon Hill called this self-sabotage. It is not laziness, it is fear of abandoning the old identity. Every time you repeat your purpose, you are telling your mind that change is underway, and it reacts by trying to protect what is familiar. Comparisons arise, doubt grows, and quitting starts to feel logical. But Hill taught that persistence is the final test of character. Those who cross this phase do not do so because of motivation, but because of commitment. This is where the habit begins to work at a deeper level, weakening old patterns and strengthening a new way of thinking. Resistance is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of progress. If you learn to continue even when everything in you wants to stop, something begins to change inside. And this internal change prepares the ground for the next stage when the first external signs begin to appear. After days of dealing with resistance, something subtle starts to happen. There is no dramatic moment, no obvious signal, but doubt begins to lose strength. It is the invisible turning point. You keep repeating your purpose and suddenly realize that you believe what you are saying. The words no longer feel strange, they feel true. Small changes emerge, decisions become firmer, focus increases, time is used more consciously. You begin to say no more easily and act in alignment with the person you want to become. Napoleon Hill explained that faith is built through the constant repetition of positive ideas. At this stage, you are no longer trying to change, you are changing. The mind begins to work in your favor, identifying opportunities and adjusting behaviors automatically. Micro wins appear, not as big achievements, but as clear signs of internal alignment. This is where transformation stops being a conscious effort and starts becoming part of who you are. As you approach the end of the 90 days, the accumulated effects become evident, not only to you, but to those around you. Mental clarity increases, confidence becomes visible, and your decisions carry more weight. You know what you want, and most importantly, what you no longer accept. This directly impacts your financial life, because a focused mind wastes less time, energy, and money. Opportunities that once went unnoticed are now recognized. Conversations change, choices change, results change. Napoleon Hill summarized this process in a simple sentence: you become what you think about most of the time. For 90 days, you trained your mind to think with purpose, direction, and intention. Money begins to respond not by magic, but because your actions are more aligned with results. The daily habit created a new identity, and that identity naturally produces new behaviors. At this point, success stops being something distant and becomes a logical consequence of who you have become. Now the decision is in your hands. Napoleon Hill taught that the greatest human mistake is knowing what must be done and still postponing it. You do not need more information, you need commitment. If you apply this habit for 90 days, something will change, not only outside, but inside you. Real change begins when you stop waiting for perfect conditions and act despite discomfort. So start today. Take a piece of paper, write your purpose clearly, and read it out loud twice a day without negotiating with laziness or doubt. Do this even when no one is watching. If this video made sense to you, like it, subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments, "I accept the 90-day challenge." This simple gesture is a public commitment. Remember, either you decide to change now, or you will continue living tomorrow exactly as you live today. The choice has always been yours.